Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, that was a rough one. Fun start. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we have an unordinary postgame for you because not only am I your director of fun and games, Bill Matz, I am joined by Flyperbole himself, Steve Jacot. It's Mr. Steve Jacot. What's going on tonight, Steve? Long time no talk.
Long time no talk, Bill. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad you finally got desperate enough to bring my energy on board, but I'm glad you called, even if it is 1:15 a.m. right now.
Yeah, it's tough. I knew if anyone was going to be able to do this, it would be you, Steve. And here we are. Awesome start to the game. Matvei Michkov, not one, but two power play goals. I was a little nervous on that first one because we've established a pretty weak standard for goalie interference to start the season. And then it's funny to see Edmonton's one come off the board right after that. But he makes up for it. Not only does he score the greasy goal, he comes right back with a almost one-timer, sort of wrist shot that beats Skinner. He's got 2 goals and an assist in the first 3 games. All is well, but Edmonton couldn't be held down forever. They win it in overtime. McDavid, Draisaitl from McDavid. Poor Sam Ersson makes the stop on the best player in the game on a breakaway, 3-on-3 overtime. And
it was such a good stop, too.
Back and Draisaitl cleans it up. Just
like an unbelievable stop. Like I was like, oh my God, he did it. And then nope.
Yeah, it was rough leaving him out to dry there. But I am going to focus on the fun tonight because hell yeah, Matvei Michkov, couple of power play goals. The power play has looked pretty good to start the season. Would have been nice if they came through late in the game, but they're 1 for 4 in the opener. They're 1 for 4 in Calgary. 2 power play goals for Matvei tonight. Are they power play dependent now? Is that the problem with this team? A team that couldn't buy a power play goal now, that's all they can do.
What a turnabout if that's the case. Like, that's wild to think about. But yeah, I mean, the power play looks good. I mean, both units have their strengths right now. And Michkov, man, I kind of love that his first goal was a greasy goal because, like, he gave us the full showcase of what he's available, what he can do out there. And if you look at his KHL highlights, a ton of them are just like up close, greasy goals. Like that's one of his things that's, I think, a little bit underrated because you're thinking, oh, this is a guy who just has a great shot, all that. And yeah, he does, as we saw in the second goal. But the first goal showed us like he just finds a way to get the puck in the back of the net. And the only Flyer I can think of that really did that consistently was John LeClair. John LeClair, best slap shot, unbelievable slap shot. But John LeClair scored so many greasy goals. That's why he was a 50 goal scorer, because he found a way every time. And yeah, that's what Michkov does. And that's one of the great things about his game. And I'm so glad they upheld that goal, because I thought it was complete BS when they were viewing it in the first place, because he pushed it in with his stick, he didn't shove the goaltender in. No. I didn't understand what Knobloch was thinking there.
I guess it's worth a challenge, especially for Edmonton, considering the goals they already had taken off the board this year. Like Corey Perry gets called for one because he's a significant presence in the crease, which is,
that's
speaking of John LeClair, he'd have no career goals if that was the rule. But no, I like that comparison to John LeClair. It's a little different because you think, yeah, John LeClair, he scored, slap shots on the rush, but his bread and butter was in front. And you don't think of Mish as a power forward. But when you really look at the way he scores so many around the net, and it's like, oh yeah, the Michigan and all that, but that's just part of his repertoire down there. He just has a bunch of different ways to score right around the net. You saw the first one tonight, very reminiscent of his goal in the rookie game to start everything this preseason, and now he's got one in the regular season. Then he comes back with a little bit prettier of a goal for the second power play goal. While it's a bummer they lose this in overtime, hey, they got a point. They're 1-1-1, putting up that picket fence to start the season. But I am choosing to look at this as it's Michkov's night. That's really what it is. We also saw some really great stuff out of Jett Luchanko. Matched up with Connor McDavid quite a bit. We heard Tortorella say like, "Oh yeah, I'm not afraid to match them up." We did some video work today. It was no, it's not that he's afraid to match them up. He's choosing to, and he held his own. They had some chances, but really the shootout or the breakaway may have been McDavid's first shot on goal of the game.
Yeah.
2 attempts, but really they kept him quiet for the most part. Of course, you get into the 3-on-3 with the best, fastest dude in the league. Well, that's what's going to happen. And that's what happened. But what'd you think of Luchanko tonight?
I've really liked Luchanko. We've had a lot of talk over on BSH about like whether to send him back or not. Most people are in favor of sending him back, and I get that. But like, I do want the full 9-game experience because I really like a lot of what this kid has brought to the game, and just the fact that he's a teenager and he can handle NHL play and responsibility like that. And Tortorella seems to love him because Tortorella has done nothing but give him more and more responsibility out on the ice. I mean, you saw it when Couturier got in that fight late and Luchanko was out there in the key situations, and Luchanko, oh, I wish he had gotten that goal when he was up close and he had those 2 shots real rapid fire.
Right there.
He wanted it bad too. Like, I think he knows that he's probably only here for 9 or so games, but he wants to make that splash while he's here. He wants everybody to remember that name when he goes back.
I can see a world where it's like, all right, man, you have now done, not only have you played NHL hockey, like we matched you up with Connor McDavid. Juniors better seem real easy to you now. But I got to tell you, I don't know if I'm expecting him to go back.
I hear you.
John Tortorella is creating a situation where he's going to argue, what are you going to take my second center away from me? Like, like they're using him in the top 6 right now. And it's very clear he had those 2 opportunities in front late. We also thought we had our first Jett Luchanko goal as he drove the net with a Bobby Brink feed, but the puck actually glanced off Ekholm's stick into the net. Brink gets the goal. But I called that, I said I want someone to describe some of the little details because, like, I think I've been impressed. I've liked what I've seen out of Luchanko through the preseason, these, now first 2 games, but I've been blown away by some of the little stuff he's doing. And I'm like, I don't know if always being on the like right side of the puck is something. It's good. Like, you need to do that, but it's not like a trait that blows me away. Like, Matvei Michkov blows me away, And,
yeah, Michkov is an otherworldly presence.
Yeah,
I mean,
but watching
he's out there.
Watching Luchanko tonight, I'm just like, these are the details. Like, these are the things. He wasn't bad in the face-off circle either, which is almost impossible for teenagers. Like,
and they needed every face-off tonight because they were getting, like, I saw Paling's stat when he was up there late in the game, and
4 for 16.
Yeah. Paling, by the way, just brutal.
Oh man, it's been an ongoing question with Charlie. Like, at what point? Because we've seen Cates once, and he comes in when Luchanko goes out for game 2. But Paling is the one who gets bumped up into the top 9 after that, and he really, as Charlie would say, hasn't showered himself in glory. So that's something we're going to ask. Like, it's got to be him at some point. I know he's a big part of the PK, but he's been a little disappointing. I'll tell you who hasn't disappointed me at all is Sam Ersson. He's been. I don't know if he's been a revelation. He gives up a couple tonight, but it's freaking Edmonton, and he definitely kept them in it when they made their push.
He was really solid, and he was great in that first game too. I think he's like, I want to see him obviously over the course of the full season because that's where he really broke down last year when he started getting the everyday work. But through 2 games, I can't complain. I mean, this is as tough of a matchup as you can get. And Vancouver's nothing to spit at either. I mean, Vancouver's a very good hockey team. I mean, they won that division last year. So I really love what I've seen from Ersson. That the goal at the end was not his fault. That was obviously Sanheim crashing into the board while trying to win the game. What are you going to do? And that's just like an insane 3 to play against on Edmonton. Like, that's just ridiculous. It's a cheat code.
That's an all-star 3-on-3. Like, that's a line in the all-star.
I think that was the 3 top scorers in the playoffs.
That's when I'm just sitting there. I wonder what Torts is going to do to start the 3-on-3. And I like the strategy. I like putting Coots out for the face-off because that's one of
Who
his
else can win a
specialties at
face-off
this
on that
point,
team?
and then immediately comes off, and it's Konechny and Mish out there for the 3-on-3. But yeah, we see Ersson's numbers, 29 of 33 for an 879, but I think he was better than that tonight. Like, I don't think the numbers tell the full story. He stopped Connor McDavid in overtime on a breakaway. I don't know what else you can ask of the guy. Like, someone needs to get back before McDavid can get up and make that pass to a completely unchecked Draisaitl, the second best guy in the league.
If they don't score there, that is a highlight reel save. Like, that is a Sports Center top 10 play kind of save, because it is just that ridiculous. And it's a shame that then immediately they scored. But yeah, no, I thought he had a great game. I thought the team has a lot of confidence with him back there. And that's what kind of makes the backup situation so rough right now, because it doesn't feel the same way with Fedotov in there, which is a shame. But man, he just looks lost out there. But Ersson, you get the sense of calm. You get the sense of just like steady goaltending. And if this team is going to make a playoff push this year, and it's a big if, obviously, Sam Ersson needs to be a steady, calm presence back there, because last year, if they get competent goaltending for that last like month and a half, and obviously the defense was a problem then too, but if they get competent goaltending in that period, they probably make the playoffs. So that's a huge factor for this team.
Yeah, if it's just a couple of games where, like, not even the whole time, just a couple of games where the goal, they're probably in the playoffs, and that's what happened. I think it's a very good start for Ersson so far. I'm very much rooting for him, because the position he got put in last year, like, we've talked it to death through the offseason. Like, the coach even acknowledges it. Listen, it was the wrong thing to do, but it was the only thing to do. Like, he had no options. Like, he puts Cal Peterson and he gives up 7. Felix Sandstrom is no good. Like, Carter Hart, he's gone. What were they supposed to do?
They had no option.
We're just going to run Sam Ersson into the ground and cross our fingers, and it didn't work out. But I'm really rooting for him this year.
It's bad if Torts is giving you excuses. If Torts is making an excuse for you, like, that's bad.
When Torts is like, that one's on me. Like, I knew what was happening, and I allowed it because I'm trying to win too. And like, they threw Fedotov into 3 games. The dude,
he just got off a plane from like Siberia.
The dude stepped out of Russia, and it was like, yo, you're going in like tomorrow, and that's just the goalie situation now. It is a fact-finding mission with the goaltenders this season. And I think Ersson has looked really good to start. He's been really good through the preseason. I want to talk about the Oilers for a second. We all, lose Stanley Cup in 7 games. They come back from the 3-0, drop game 7. They're the betting favorites coming into the year. Off to an 0-3-0 start. So you knew what was like. Flyers got set up tonight. The Flyers got
national game.
McDavid, no goals. Draisaitl, 1 goal. Like, Bouchard, no goals. They got set up. But
they got set up 100%. We knew it was going to happen.
Why is that team so freaking stupid?
They are so dumb. They put themselves in a hole so early with just some of the dumbest penalties I've seen in a while. Like, it's the 3rd game.
7 power plays the Flyers had.
That's wild. It's just wild to think about. And just dumb penalties like that Corey Perry one in the first period. And again, that's Corey Perry for you, right?
Yeah,
that's the kind of player he is, and he's always been. But it's still like, I mean, that's a 39-year-old man, which it's wild to think he's younger than me, but that's funny to me still. But yeah, like, that's a guy who's been in the league forever. And you'd think he'd know at this point not to just pull some dumb crap like that, but he does anyway, because that's kind of who he is. But like, it's the whole team. I mean, Draisaitl took some really dumb penalties tonight, which is like, you're one of the best players in the league. You don't need to be doing this.
Yeah, it's Corey Perry, and then he's going to fight Joel Farabee. He probably has more fights in his career than Farabee has games played. But here we are, like, this is what we're doing. I could not believe that first fight was not an instigator, Steve. Like,
shocked.
Couturier did say yes, but he did also get 1 glove off and had the other one still on as punches are already being thrown. And I don't know if I've ever seen a response fight that the Flyers have had that didn't result in 17 penalty minutes.
I know.
I don't think I've ever seen that, but you get 7 power plays. You did score 2 goals. I'm not going to blame this on the refs. I just found it was a little odd.
A little bit, yeah. It
What did
seemed
you
unnecessary.
Yeah, what did you think of the goal they took away from Edmonton? Like, again, I know that they've established a pretty weak standard for goalie interference, but I don't know, man. Like, cool. I'm glad they took it away.
Yeah.
I hope they take every goal away. I don't care if it's good or not from the Flyers. But like after the Michkov one, it's like, oh, we're still gonna do this to you, Edmonton. Like, what'd you
I mean,
think of that play?
I mean, I thought the play was how they called it was technically right though, because he did actually bump into the goaltender. Whereas what Michkov did was just like, I have the puck and I'm going to get it past you with my stick. Like what Michkov did is like how I understand hockey. That is how hockey is played. But bumping the goaltender is something. I mean, it was subtle though. Like
It
if
was
we're talking 90s style, which you
yes.
and I grew up on, like that's nothing. Like then again, we're also used to the crease where it's like, oh, you had a toe in the crease, no goal. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, like it was, look, if we're talking about like old school hockey, that's nothing. Okay. He barely touched him. But if you're getting technical and you're talking the rules, he did technically bump
Yeah.
into him. And that was way more goaltender interference than the one that Michkov had reviewed.
I definitely appreciated the broadcast's explanation of the Michkov one. They're like, well, this is a puck battle. Like that's what it is. Even though it's a goalie, like the puck is loose and you are allowed to fight for. I thought that was a very good explanation. And yeah, like the Edmonton one, absolutely by letter of law, especially the way they've established it in this first week of the season. Yeah, but man, again, by these rules, there would be zero case for John LeClair to be in the Hall of Fame, and he has a really good one. Like,
oh, he has a great one, and it's kind of unbelievable that he's not. But 50 goals a year. Come on, what are we doing here? But
yeah, yeah. It was a weird game. It was a very fun game. It was the Michkov game. We've been waiting for it. It's just a shame they couldn't come away with the 2 points.
It's a shame, and they had so many opportunities. Can we talk about that Tippett one? That guy, he must have inherited some sort of curse in the offseason, because like he had some shots tonight that absolutely should have gone in. That one in particular was a great shot. He just was snake bitten. It just did not go in, and it stunk because he was flying out there tonight. Like I think this might have been his best game of the season, and he had some really great opportunities. I'm smashing whatever bet for him scoring in the next like couple games. Like
I might get on the that Bet365 milestone goals, maybe 2 or 3 in a game. Like,
oh, there we go.
It just feels like he's about to break through. But it would have been real nice tonight. Early on, it was a little bit more of the same. We talked about a little bit too much from distance, missing the net a little too much early in the season. But as the game went on, he looked more and more like the Owen Tippett that we're like, this is the guy we need to see. But he needs to put the puck in the net. Maybe, however, Steve, maybe he's saving it for that home opener on Saturday. Ooh. And if you want to go to that home opener, there's no better way to do it than with our friends at Game Time. That's right. We're talking Game Time because Game Time is a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And listen, that's the brand new great feature that they want me to sell you on Game Time, but all the old features that we love, they're still around. The all-in pricing. No, they're not going to trick you. They're going to show you the price right up front. No late fees. Like, oh yeah, I'm all the way at checkout and it's $40 more. Nope, that doesn't happen. The seat views, you get a panoramic view from your seat so you know where you'll be sitting. No surprises there either. The lowest price guarantee, where Game Time credits you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section or row for less. Plus Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time, baby. All right. And while we're here, I mentioned it just a second ago. Bet365, they're our presenting sponsor every post game and every live show. And it's my sports book of choice because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I've been telling you since they came aboard about these early payouts. Your team takes a 3-goal lead, you're a winner. Maybe if the Flyers just a little bit more luck tonight, you had them on the money line, you could have just gone to bed. Doesn't matter that they blew the game, but unfortunately they did. That's what makes Bet365 such an outstanding sportsbook app. So download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Steve, do you think Mish is saving the Michigan for the home opener? I feel like he is.
I can't wait for the Michigan because it's going to make Tort's head explode.
Oh,
And
yes.
I'm all about it but here's the thing. Torts loves him. So Torts won't say anything because I know when Farabee tried it in practice the one time, Torts was like, "You better not." But like he loves Michkov. Like there's a reason he keeps playing this guy in the top line. He plays him in the power play. Like he is putting him out there at all situations. Well, not the penalty kill, but you know what I mean. Like he's putting him out there. He trusts him, and this is not a guy you win the trust of easily. Okay. So yeah, I think he's saving the Michigan for a special situation. He just looks more confident with every game. And like, the first game, okay, still getting his footing. We saw some stuff in the third period. Finally gets that point in the second game. And then this game, he let loose in the first period. And that second goal, man, I watched it like 5 times, the little like hand thing. Oh, it's so badass. Like he has a swagger that I don't know. Have we ever seen the Flyer maybe since the Bullies with like swagger like this? Because it's like unbelievable, and I freaking love it.
No, typically like our only guys with swagger are like they're gonna beat you up. Like Dan Carcillo taunting the crowd in the Winter Classic, or like Wayne Simmons, obviously.
Scott Hartnell.
Yeah, like Hartnell, but it's never been the best player.
No.
Like Giroux was the humble, like, he'll give you a let's effing go or something, but he wasn't the showman the way Michkov has been. And it's so nice we got it already. A couple of goals, and now it sucks that they lost tonight, but I'm choosing to talk about Matvei Michkov tonight because it's just been so long. Like and not just him, but the team with a functioning power play. That Bobby Brink goal, I think, came 9 seconds after the power play expired. But
there was an ESPN stat. Yeah.
ESPN put up a graphic. It was the Flyers' first time with 3 power play goals since 2020. Like in a game. So it came a little late, but those guys were still out there. It was basically the same possession, and it's cool to think that they're starting with a baseline of at least a competent offense, and it could grow from here. As like Tippett hasn't got going yet. Forster only has 1. Konechny had 2 in 1 game. We need to see more. There's still so many guys that need to come along.
Yeah. Oh, and the thing is, on that goal, that Brink goal, they scored because of their power play positioning, because Luchanko was crashing the net like that. And, going back to Jett very briefly, I feel like the power play is a good reason for why, if he does stay for the year, that's why he'll stay, because his power play unit has been so like competent and crisp, and they're the second unit. So they enter the zone. Like that's where I really was like talked into this in the first game by we have somebody who has to remain anonymous in the BSH Slack due to his job, but he was talking about it, and he really likes to break down the tape, and I'll hook you up with him. He has some he'll talk you into Jett, but he was talking about just how Luchanko goes into the offensive zone, and the possession going in, like it's just I don't know, it's like very like confident possession going in, and they establish the zone really well. And yeah, I mean, you've seen it, the second unit hasn't looked good ever. Like they've been legitimately good, and in the first game they were actually better than the first unit. So it's cool to see. And having a power play and the power kill, if this team can get their stuff together and they can figure things out on defense, they actually could be a very good hockey team.
I want to ask you, because you mentioned, so if Jett is to go back, that would have to mean an expanded role for Sean Couturier.
It would have to.
Coots played a team low 9:52 tonight. Nobody else had under 11 minutes. 11:06 for Bobby Brink is the his line mate is the second lowest total on the team, offense and defense. Now, I think there's two different ways to look at this. If Luchanko is going back, maybe we talked after Coots last year really fell off, and then it turns out he was hurt. We're like, man, maybe you shouldn't have been playing a guy returning from basically 2 years off for 20 minutes a game. And that's why maybe contributed to him falling off. Perhaps, at least for these first 9-10 games, we're going to ease Coots in and pull back his workload. And then in November, it will be a lot more Couturier. Or the coach just doesn't want to put him on the ice. Like, it's one of these two things.
It's always a mystery with this guy. It's always a mystery with Tortsy.
Know.
Yeah. Tortsy is such an enigma. And like, you know, when Jett played a strong first game, but then like got scratched for the second game, you're like, what is going on here? I don't really understand with Torts. I do think he's trying to get a look at a bunch of different lineups, although not defensively. Free Emil Andrae, please, for the love of God. But you know, I don't know what's going on there. I would love to see Andrae play over Erik Johnson because Erik Johnson ain't got it anymore. But that's a whole other issue. Couturier would have to have an expanded role. And yeah, it does concern me. I mean, the fact that also, like, I know he's picking fights, at least the preseason one, you know, in defense of his teammates and trying to be the good captain and everything. And that's great and all. You're not a fighter, guy. Like, you're best known for being a two-way forward. You're best known for being a Selke winning center. And if you could play that way, you could be an excellent defensive center. That would be much more valuable to the team than you being a goon. We've got a goon. He's sitting in the press box for a reason.
Well, I was like, is this now with aging Coots as captain, and especially with Nick Seeler out of the lineup, especially with Nick Delorier sitting, is it now de facto Coots and maybe Farabee? Like, these guys are our fighters while everyone's out?
Where's Garnett? Garnett's got to be doing this. That's like Garnett's the only guy who should be fighting on this team right now as it currently. And maybe especially I don't know if Erik Johnson.
Like, right. Especially Corey Perry.
But you know, Risto, come on, dude.
He's too pretty.
He's too pretty. If Risto would fight, he'd be a legend here. He would be. If he fought and he crushed guys, he'd be a legend. If he was the trash compactor over there, just smashing guys up, because he's huge, he could do it. But no, you know, we've got like two huge defensemen. No fights. It's got to be Couturier and Farabee, who I never want to see Joel Farabee fight again. It wasn't quite Braden Shen bad, but I don't want to see it again.
Farabee just doesn't
rabbit punches.
Yeah, Farabee he's willing, which I'm all for, man. And the first thing I did after the second fight was look up when we're playing Edmonton again. It's not till February 22nd, which is a bummer. I would like to see them again. One, because this was a fun game, and two, I got a little testy. A little bit. We won't see them again until the new year, almost March, which is a little bit of a bummer. But where do you think this Couturier thing is going? Because listen, I still think he can come around and maybe be an effective 3C for you. Maybe he needs to play with some guys who are a little bit stylistically more like him. I'm not sure, but I also have been on Puckpedia. Like, yeah, when will a buyout actually make sense? It's not this year. I'll tell you that. It ain't going to be this year. But like, where is this going? Because ever since he was named captain, it seems to have taken a real turn.
That C weighing him down. Yeah. That's what's happening. I mean, he was slow to start with. He didn't need any other weight. It's a bummer too, because I love Sean Couturier. I thought he was going to age well because he is a smart player, but he's had injuries that are insanely hard to come back from. I mean, he just hasn't been the same player. And I mean, we had a peak of it last year, which was nice, but it was just a peak. There wasn't much of it. And yeah, he can't keep up with those guys on the top. That's why Morgan Frost is playing with Michkov and Konechny. You know, Jett Luchanko is playing. There's a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old now. I'm sorry, barely 18, who is getting more playing time than your established center making $7 million a season. Like, it's wild to me that we've reached this point. That also speaks to how good Jett is. But yeah, like, I don't really know, because they also don't seem to trust Cates that much, because Cates has been in and out of the lineup in these first 3 games. And we were just talking about Poehling earlier. Poehling looks terrible so far, which is a shame, because I thought Poehling was rock solid last year. And like, he had 1 turnover tonight. I mean, he had a couple turnovers, but there was one in particular right in back of the net, which almost led to an Edmonton goal that I was like screaming at my TV. And I don't need to be screaming at my TV at midnight.
No, and I thought, like, to start the game, and they had a bunch of power plays, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I just thought, after a couple of games where they looked off, like the passing, the sharpness, it was just not there for a majority of the first 2 games. I was like, oh, okay. They look a lot more ready tonight. They just look a lot sharper. They're completing some passes. They're putting plays together. This is fun. And okay, cool. Michkov scored a couple of times. Here we go. And then it seemed like they could not get out of their own way. Poehling, that one bad turnover, he had a few. And Travis Sanheim, he could not touch the puck tonight without it going the other way. I don't know if I've seen Sanheim turn the puck over that many times in a game. It was rough. This defense, I think, has had a very rough start to the season, especially because, like, they were so much better than we expected them to be last year for the most part, that I don't know if I can name a defender who's looked consistently good this year.
I hear you there. It's been rough to watch that defense. They couldn't clear the zone after the first period at all. It was which against Edmonton, you have to clear the zone. Every chance you get to clear that zone against this team, you absolutely have to take advantage of it. And they kept not doing it. And I kept losing my mind because they kept giving Edmonton chances. Again, Sam Ersson just being a trooper in there, because they got some high quality chances. And granted, the Flyers did luck out with some posts that were hit and everything. Sure. And Draisaitl missed that one slam dunk on the side. But you know what? Like, I still, none of that's on Ersson. That's on the defense. They have not looked combobulated at all. I don't know what the hell's going on there. And
I don't know what the opposite of discombobulated? Is it combobulated?
I guess, yeah. I never even thought about that. It just rolled off my tongue like it was nothing. I had never thought about that. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to start putting that in the repertoire there. But yeah, I mean, was Nick Seeler really the linchpin of this entire defense?
Should Sean Walker retroactively win the Norris last year?
Yes, 100%.
They have been horrible since he left defensively.
Sean Walker was amazing. What a revelation that guy was.
Their
good on Dr. T for getting him.
Their inability. Yeah, man, he knows. Dr. T knows. No, the Flyers' inability to clear the zone tonight, I think, like, they had 7 power plays. Edmonton won the shot battle 33-30. Like, I know that doesn't tell the whole story, but yeah, they just gave up way too many second opportunities. Chances to clear, like you said, just didn't get it out. I've seen way too many guys on their backhand just kind of flutter it up and hope it gets by. Just, this is supposed to be a much more skilled, much more puck-moving, capable defense, and has not been the case through 3 games. I think that's been the weakest point so far. The offense,
over half the guys should be able to move the puck properly. Drysdale has great skating ability, and we know he has stick skills because he looks good in the offensive zone.
Yeah.
But defensive zone, disaster. Sanheim, he was drafted with an offensive repertoire. Yeah. Cam York obviously has a lot of offensive skill. We know he could get it out. And Igor Zamula, I mean, he's done some stuff on the power play. We know he can move the puck, but you wouldn't know it if you watched tonight.
Zamula and Risto. I know they don't want to take Zamula out of the lineup, one, because of the the interpreter factor with Mish, and also he is the power play quarterback for power play 2. They don't like taking, that's why Poehling's still in there. They don't like taking out the guys who have big roles on special teams, but you got to figure out a way to break them up.
Let me see Andrae.
Get Andrae. He's on the trip. Why
He's
not
on the trip? Let him play. Let him play.
I understand. Like, okay, maybe we don't think he's ready. He did win that 8th defenseman spot. Like, John Tortorella said it. Like, oh yeah, I had Jennings penciled in there, and then he lost. He sucked at camp, and Andrae won it. Give him a shot. Maybe, I don't know maybe you play him with Risto just so there's some size out there with him. Mix and match. Maybe Zamula and Johnson can. I don't know what the right combination is, but
I would love
have to
Johnson
figure
out of the lineup.
Yeah,
I think Johnson's cooked.
Johnson, they are going to get to 1,000 games. I don't know if he plays 1,001. Like, what's the point?
So I'm just
Really?
laughing because I'm thinking about Keith Yandel's Iron Man streak all of a sudden.
It's at least like you can not play him and it doesn't take games away. You know, like they don't subtract games played.
No,
That
they
Iron
don't.
Man streak, that is a highlight of BSH radio, is complaining like of all the different things, like Dave Hackstall scratching Ghost and TK, like that was a big one. But I think the Keith Yandel Iron Man streak might be like the BSH. It was every show. It was just, this guy stinks. Like, he was one of the worst players I ever saw.
Somehow we got the worst seasons out of Keith Yandel and Eric Gustafson.
Eric Gustafson, who's still like an effective enough player.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible here.
It's, there is light. There is.
So we're getting the worst out of Eric Johnson as well.
Well, Eric Johnson's 140 years
We know
old.
what we were getting with Eric Johnson. He was the number one pick in like 1977.
Yeah, I think he was the number one pick the second year out of the lockout, maybe.
I think it's something like that.
06, perhaps.
It has been a while.
Say?
Yeah, he's just been playing forever. He's the guy who's hired to be in the locker room, or not be in the locker room. Well, he is a locker room presence, but he's the press box guy. He's not supposed to even be out there. Give me Emil Andrae in there. Give me a whole lefty-righty arrangement. Break up Sanheim and York. Let's mix things up at this point, because the defense has been the least effective part. I mean, I think the wingers have looked good. Obviously, Michkov has looked good. Brink giveth, Brink taketh away, because Brink will get you a goal, but then Brink will completely miss his defensive assignment on the tying goal, But you see good and bad from those guys. The defense, I mean, I haven't really seen anything that's particularly good so far.
I am a big Bobby Brink believer. But yeah, he's
not good defensively.
No, there's a reason it's like, we get him out there for 12, 13 minutes a game. He's a third liner. Like that's just what it's going to be.
He's not Tyson Forrester.
No. While I have everybody here, I want to tell you about our friends at 1-800-588-2300 Empire
Today.
There we go. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. I've been telling you for months now, Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So what does that mean? It means they have copycats, but those copycats can't beat Empire on quality, service, or speed. So what do? They just advertise low quality products that Empire simply wouldn't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices, because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own. The Empire philosophy is to find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes, because what they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of products and samples to find the perfect styles each year, and you can see them right in your home with the virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. All you have to do is snap a picture and instantly see how those new floors will look in your room. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details. While we're here, I love all of our sponsors, but Rugged Road, man, it's tailgate season. It's here, baby. Football's here. Hockey home opener coming up. Basketball just around the corner. You're going to want the perfect cooler for your tailgates, and that's Rugged Road. They have a lightweight design. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're durable and dependable. They're crafted to handle the toughest environments, like the sports complex. And the coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. And they're guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, and oftentimes even much longer. So they're perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing and tubing to camping and tailgating. Coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used, Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code PHLY for 10% off today. And is Charlie here, or are we still? Yes, so we have Now joining us from Rogers Place, Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, it is Charlie O'Connor. We have a little reunion here, an old school BSH reunion. We have Steve and we have Charlie out in Edmonton. Chuck, how are you tonight?
Doing okay, guys. How is everything going for you?
I am choosing to think about Michkov tonight and not the ending of the game. But I do want to ask, are the Flyers too power play dependent now, Charlie?
Ooh, they just now they only are good on the power play. They're not good at 5-on-5. It is an interesting point though, because I just feel like these first 3 games, it's not even that I'm criticizing their 5-on-5 play. It's more that I think that the way these games have played out, they haven't really had the opportunity to even let us see what the 5-on-5 play looks like. They've been so disjointed. There's been so many penalties called on both sides. It just doesn't feel like they've ever been able to get into a rhythm at 5-on-5. And I do think this team is better at 5-on-5 than they've shown so far, but we just haven't really been able to see a sustained game where they can really get into a rhythm and we can see what they really look like at even strength, because these games have just been so disjointed.
Charlie, I got to get your reaction to Matvei Michkov. First 2 goals of his NHL career tonight. First one, he gets greasy, pushes it in behind Stu Skinner. Second one, also on the power play. Little almost one-timer, kind of a wrist shot on a tough angle, puts it right in there. This kid, so many more to come. What did you think of Michkov tonight?
I mean, obviously in the first period, he was the star. And it's a bummer because it would have been such an easy column for me to write if they would have just won the frigging game after the way that first period went. But of course, it's the Flyers, so they have to make it difficult because they're the Flyers and they lose the stupid game. But in any case, yeah, you're seeing a guy who has just been, in my mind, for the first 2 games, he was just banging on the door. He was creating so many chances. He was involved in so many dangerous plays. I was expecting it to kind of explode in the form of like a 3 or 4 assist game before the goal scoring came. But once he got that first goal, you could just see him like, oh, I can score. I can score in the NHL. Okay. All right. Let's see what I can do now. And then he gets that, it really was kind of a sharp angle snipe of a goal for the second one. Like the first one, you're going to see him score a lot of those kind of goals in the NHL because he is going to score greasy goals, probably even more than he scores the highlight reel ones. The second one, though, not really a highlight reel goal, but a goal scorer's goal. Like that's a goal you score when you have just a knack for knowing where the open spots are. And they were both impressive. And obviously he's the story of the game from the Flyers' perspective. But it's just a bummer that they couldn't win because you're setting up for that. They take the 2-0 lead. They then gain the lead again at the end of the third. And it just feels like it's setting up for this like storybook type game, but it's the Flyers and they don't do storybook.
What did you think of Jett Luchanko and his role tonight, Charlie? We thought we had our first Jett goal, but it ends up being credited to Bobby Brink on the Ekholm deflection. We also see him have a couple of chances on the doorstep late. He was matched up with McDavid a lot. I want to ask about Couturier in a minute, but Jett Luchanko, is he making a case? I mean, he's the number 2 center right now. It's pretty clear. What did you think of Jett?
Well, I mean, he's making a case, obviously, in the sense that the coach wants him here. Like, that is the case. The case is that the coach of the team clearly wants Jett Luchanko to be on this team all year. He's throwing the minutes at him. He's not shying away from tough matchups. And so far, Luchanko is holding his own. I mean, I certainly wouldn't go so far as to say I think he's dominating, but he's holding his own. He's holding his own defensively. You can see the instincts. You can see the plays he's making. Tortorella actually said after the game that he made some mistakes in coverage, and he expects that from an 18-year-old. But he made plays offensively. Obviously, nearly scores a goal twice on the doorstep with the first opportunity and then the second opportunity. He nearly gets the goal that Ekholm ends up being the one who deflects in. But still, like, that's a stealth point because even though he doesn't get a point on that goal doesn't happen if he's not there. Because if he's not there, then Ekholm has no reason to put his stick down to try to block a pass. So even though Luchanko gets 0 credit by the score sheet on that goal, I guess aside from getting the plus and the plus minus column, like that goal doesn't happen if Luchanko isn't putting himself in the right position. So from a positional standpoint and from a detail standpoint, yeah, he's there and he could certainly hang. The big question for me has always been offense. Is this the right place for him to develop his offense? He hasn't scored yet. So I'm not saying that that's going to be the only reason why you make a decision of where you're going to send him back or not, but it does play a role. And thus far, he hasn't scored. He certainly looks like he belongs. And if John Tortorella had his way, Jett Luchanko would be here for, I guess, all 81 games because they scratched from the one game. He'd be here the whole year. John Tortorella clearly trusts Jett Luchanko more than he trusts most, if not all, of the centers on this roster. So we know where Tort stands. The question is, where will the organization stand when we get to 9 games? And we'll see.
Speaking of Torts' trust in the centers, now there is a 5-minute major in there, so that's time he couldn't play. But Sean Couturier plays a team low 952 tonight. What is going on with Coots?
I mean, I don't really know how I can answer that. Like, and also I do think though that this is a case a little bit of, I've made a joke. There was a quote from Mike Schmidt back in the 80s where it was like there's the thrill of victory and the agony of reading about it in the sports page the next day in Philadelphia. And I've turned that into there's the thrill of victory and the agony of seeing people on Twitter scour the time on ice sheets for things to complain about after a game. So I do think there's a little bit of that because like Coots isn't getting a lot of special teams time, and this was a heavy special teams game. So I think that is a big part of it, and it's probably something that like maybe gets brushed aside. That said, look, it's abundantly clear that like right now, John Tortorella doesn't think especially highly of where Sean Couturier is as a player. Like, can he get to a point where he feels better about him? Maybe. But right now, John Tortorella loves Jett. And he's got to play Morgan Frost because Morgan Frost is showing legitimate chemistry with Matvei Michkov. And I do think that Poehling, like number one, Poehling gets a lot of shorthanded time, obviously. But I do think Poehling got extra minutes in this game, in part because they were using the Poehling line a fair amount against McDavid, in no small part because I think Poehling is one of the few players that can keep up with McDavid a little bit. So I think it might have been more of I think the low time on ice for Couturier was a combination of number one, the lack of special teams. Number two, he probably just isn't that high on Couturier's game right now. And then number three, they were using kind of a combination matchup strategy against McDavid. Like looking at the direct matchups numbers with McDavid. McDavid spent 733 at 5-on-5 against Poehling, and he spent 531 against Luchanko. That strikes me as a very clear plan on the part of the Flyers to match up the fast centers on our team with McDavid because these are the guys that can keep up with them. So I think that it was also partially an individual game strategy because Torts probably had in his head, McDavid's the fastest skater in the world. If I put Couturier and Frost, have them spend a ton of shifts against them, they're going to get the doors blown off them. So let me put him up against fast centers who can hopefully check him into oblivion. And honestly, they both did a pretty good job. I mean, obviously McDavid at the end of the game, he sets up the third goal and then sets up the game winner. But for the most part, McDavid was pretty quiet. So I think the strategy largely worked. I think there's something here in the sense of John Tortorella clearly isn't that high on Sean Couturier at the moment. I also think it's a little overblown just to look at the time on ice charts because there were factors that explain it at least to a degree.
No, and like he spends 5 minutes in the box, like on after the fight, and there's these games, like you've said tonight, a ton of 11 penalties in the game. There've been a bunch of penalties in every game they've played so far. I've been keeping track. Flyers have so many freaking minors themselves, and if he's not in the regular PK rotation, we know he's not on the power play. Right. When's he going to get in there?
And I forgot about the 5-minute major, but that's a good point. Yeah. That probably knocks at least a minute off of his time on ice for the game.
Is he the team's go-to enforcer now with Sealer out, Delorier out? Like, is this
him and Joel Farabee apparently?
Corey Perry is such a coward. I said to Steve earlier, he probably has more career fights than Farabee has career games played, and that's what he's out there doing. This team, I cannot wait to play them again. It bums me out. We have to wait until February. Charlie, was there any real good Torts lines tonight? I know they lost, and it's a tough one, so he probably wasn't making jokes up there. But anything good from Torts?
Yeah, not really. I mean, he talked very complimentary of Michkov. Understandably, that's the big story. That's what we're all going to be writing about. But no, he wasn't really giving much. He basically said, "Look, I think we played a pretty good game. I actually thought our third period was our best period." And It doesn't seem like it because we blew a lead, but he was like, we had a ton of chances and we finish on one of those. Jett finishes on one of his chances. Tippett finishes on one of his chances. And suddenly it's 4-2 and we run away with the game. So it's just one of those things where I don't think he comes away from this game particularly frustrated. He's just angry that they lost. I don't think he's frustrated with the team. He's frustrated with the outcome because he feels like they could have won, but it's just a matter of someone has to finish on a chance and no one at the key moments did.
All right. Yeah. Owen Tippett, man. I want to be able to parlay 3 games in a row of an Owen Tippett anytime goal because he's right there. He's right freaking there. If he breaks through tonight, he had a bunch of chances. All right. With that said, it's time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Hit us with star number 3.
Yeah, I am not at all ready for this. I'm sorry. I was trying to rush back up here. I mean, I don't know. 3rd star of the game. I guess I'll pick an Oiler who scored the game tying goal. I don't know. Bouchard. Give it to Evan Bouchard. Bouchard's 3rd star of the game.
All right. Let's do something else then. Travis Sanheim.
Michkov. Come on, done.
Honestly, it's Michkov 3 times.
It's Michkov mania, baby. Get on board.
I don't care about the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But this was Travis Sanheim's 500th career game. Charlie, where does the time go?
Yeah, what was it? Sentient Blog basically was like, man, how could that have been 500 games ago for Broad Street Hockey? And I was like, because you're getting old, Broad Street Hockey, Sentient Blog.
Pretty old.
Pretty old.
Right,
almost as old as me.
All right, do you want me to give you 3 stars now?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'll do 3rd star. I will say Evan Bouchard. Who scores the game tying goal off of a pass from the person who I think is the 1st star of the game. But yeah, Bouchard, good game, a lot of minutes, sure. 2nd star is Matvei Michkov. I mean, if the Flyers would have won, he would have been the runaway number 1 star. Had a great game. Probably if the Flyers win this game, he's number 1 star, and Frost is probably number 2 because he had a really good game as well. But Flyers lost, so sorry, Morgan, you're not the 3rd star. But Michkov, I mean, this was his offensive breakout. We were waiting for it. We only had to wait 3 games. He was great, especially in the first period. He's turned the power play into not only something watchable, but something legitimately good, which is cool. Number 1 star is the best player in the world, Connor McDavid. I know they were able to shut him down for something like 53, 54 minutes. And then, in the stretch of about 6, 7, 8 minutes, he turns the game and wins it for his team. And that's what the best player in the world can do. You could say that Michkov kind of did that in the first period. He was like, hey, I'm going to take over the game for a 4 or 5 minute stretch. And he did. And that was great. And then Connor McDavid showed up in the second half, not even the second half, really not even the final third, the final 6th of the game. And just was like, nah, we ain't losing. We're not going 0-4 to start the year. And that's why he's the best player in the world. 1st star.
Thank you, Charlie. I will leave you with this. Through 3 games, Eric Lindros, 2 goals, 1 assist. Okay. Through 3 games, Matvei Michkov, 2 goals, 1 assist.
Love that. Love that.
Saying. All right, that is Philadelphia's number 1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor, coming to us live from Edmonton, where the Flyers lost 4-3 in overtime. But who cares? Because Matvei Mania is running wild. That bummed me. The Flyers Twitter put out first a tweet that was like, oh yeah, behind the net, of course. I was like, that was directed at me and Kelly. And then they called it Matvei Mania and not Michkov Mania. I was like, now come on.
They've trolled with me a lot in that regard. So that's, yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Chuck.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, Charlie.
That was Charlie O'Connor. It's always fun talking to Charlie after when he's just he has so many things going on, and then I ask him nonsense, and he's just like, can I leave?
Why, Bill? Why?
Can I just get on a plane? I gotta get to
I'm
Seattle.
in Edmonton, Bill. Come on.
It's probably snowing there. There's never any sun.
Yeah. It's just ice and darkness.
All right. Before we wrap up tonight, I want to thank all of our diehards who joined us. If you're not a diehard, you got to get over to allphly.com right now so you get all of Charlie's premium content, but not just Charlie, our all-star roster covering all of Philly sports. You get everything from them, plus access to the Discord, discount on events like the event we have coming up against Anaheim. We're selling suite tickets, and guess what? You get a pretty nice discount for a ticket and a suite and all the fun stuff that we're going to be doing for the Cutter game when he comes to the Wells Fargo Center. So check that out on our events page. Sign up to be a diehard today. All right, let's hit those super chats. All right, first one from Adam S. He says, Coots is the new fourth line goon. Something is going to have to give with Couturier at some point. My hope is they are just trying to not overuse him at this point. But I did think Charlie made a pretty decent point, is like, look at the way these games have gone. There have been so much special teams. They've been weird. They've been choppy. They've taken forever. Like we haven't started a pregame before 1 a.m. yet, or a postgame before 1 a.m. yet. Thanks for joining me tonight, Steve, as it's almost 2:10 a.m.
Hey, I'm a night owl. I can deal with it.
2 of the first 3 games go to overtime. Of course they do. They're out west. But I'm hoping to see more out of Coots. Maybe pulling back on his ice time a little to start the season means, as he's coming back, I remember Jason Martinez in the offseason saying, well, he's got, scar tissue he has to break up from his surgery. It's going to take him a little bit to get into it.
Oh, that's lovely.
Maybe
detail.
They're easing him in, and, by Christmas, he'll look like Couturier again.
They need him for the full season regardless. He ain't going nowhere, so you need him. I don't want him fighting, to be honest. It stresses me out. It's like he's too fragile. He can't. His old brittle bones can't handle that. He's held his own, but also it's like he just doesn't look like a fighter. He's just too skinny. He's not a fighter. He has held his own. It's like great.
He's got 90s. The reach. He can at least if Matt Rempe had Couturier's strategy, he'd kill everyone. Like he was Coots was using his reach real well against a smaller guy tonight. I thought that worked, but
he kicked the guy's ass. He was great.
I don't need him. I don't need him breaking his hand on somebody's helmet.
We
don't have any centers.
We don't have any centers. Like let anybody again. What is Garnet Hathaway doing? Garnet Hathaway, go fight those guys.
I will say, not only did Michkov score the greasy goal tonight, he had a real nice front face lock on Darnell Nurse in that one scrum.
I love that.
Well, he had him locked up.
What was Nurse doing there? I was like, I didn't understand why Nurse took such offense at Joel Farabee, or was it Farabee or was it Tippett? It was Tippett, I think, right?
I believe so.
Oh, he took a shot on the power play. I'm gonna kick this guy's ass. Like it was so weird. It's like, are you just compensating for not being good and overpaid? I don't understand. But yeah, I love Michkov just getting in there and going, I can do this.
Yeah, I got him. I'm strong.
A+ for effort. I love it.
I appreciate it. I did see he was down at one point after blocking a shot, whistle blows, and an Oiler comes by and absolutely kind of need him a little on purpose. I was like, that was 100% on purpose, but it's Edmonton. They're greasy. All right. Greasy. And next super chat, please. We have Lane Colbin. Did you notice the team cheating for offense? I like seeing Flyers try and fail to make plays, even if they fail, like Sanheim's OT drive to the net. Yeah, Sanheim's drive to the net is cool. It's just all right, now get back.
Right.
I don't know if I've seen them cheating any more than last year when it kind of became part of their offensive strategy. Hey, if the puck is in one of those mesh points and we think we can win a race to it, the far side winger needs to take off so we can take off on a rush. They did it so effectively last year. I think teams are a little more prepared for it. But I don't know if I've seen them cheating, but absolutely, they need to try to make skilled plays.
Oh yeah, they need it big time. Any edge they can get in that regard, they have to take it.
All right, and final super chat, I believe, from Adam S. How doesn't he look like a fighter? He got no teeth.
He got no teeth.
I just look at his build. He's so lanky. It just seems a little awkward. The way Fedotov looks awkward in net. That's what I feel like when Couturier drops the gloves. Can he get his arms and legs doing the thing you have to do to fight?
Well, like Nick Delorier looks like he's straight out of Sin City or something. Like that dude has like a brick of a face. Okay. Like that guy looks like a fighter. He's got the worst beard you've ever seen. Like that dude was made to fight guys. Sean Couturier, you know, even though he's got no teeth, which is a great observation, he still got too pretty of a face for this. He just does.
He needs the old Wolfman beard back if he's going to be doing this.
Oh yeah.
The old Wolf of Broad Street look that he had. He needs that back if this is the player he is now.
Yeah.
All right,
embrace it.
Yeah, just I guess this is who you are. All right, Steve. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really appreciate you jumping aboard. Make sure you follow at Flyperbole. Listen to Steve's show. It's always funny. And make sure you're following us right here on the YouTube page. So you never miss a live PHLY Flyers. Hit that reminder bell. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. I believe Kelly and Charlie will both be on the show alongside me, and then we'll have pre- and post-game on Thursday and Saturday. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers, and follow the podcast as well. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers. That'll do it for us tonight. My name is Bill Matz. That is Steve Jacot. Let's go Flyers.